he wanted the program to continue, and we're going to follow whatever Dr. Lubin says to do, and that's what we're going to do tonight. So Dr. Lubin, we love you, Bert. My name is Mark Laret. I'm the President and CEO of UCSF Health, and I'm actually pinch hitting for Chancellor Sam Hawgood, who is under the weather himself and could not be here tonight. But on behalf of Dr. Hawgood, Dean Talmadge King, the Board of Directors of Benioff Children's Hospitals, including Shahan Sahigian, who's the chair here tonight, welcome all of you. We're so glad you're here. You know, Bert is known to probably everyone in this room in many of the same ways and some different ways. You know him as a tireless advocate for children, particularly children who are underserved and struggling in this world. But you also know that Bert is a scientist. He was the first clinician scientist here at Benioff Children's Hospital, Oakland, or as it was known, Children's Hospital Research Corporation, Oakland. And you think about Bert, his career spans over 50 years, encompassing more than 30 National Institutes of Health grants. So 1 is a big deal, 30 is a huge deal. Over 160 publications. He came to Children's Oakland in 1973 as the chief of hematology oncology, and under his direction the department grew and came to be recognized as an international leader, as it is today, in treating children with malignancies, sickle cell anemia, thalassemia, and hemophilia. Bert's leadership in his role as Director of Medical Research, which began in 1984, Children's Oakland became known for its research enterprise, which Bert nurtured and developed. And all the cutting-edge work that's still done here today, including stem cell and gene therapy for beta thalassemia, including the first ever in utero stem cell transplant clinical trial, all traces a very bright line back to Children's Oakland's very first clinical researcher, Dr. Bert Lubin. Yes, worth acknowledging. His work as a scientist uncovered clinical breakthroughs instrumental to blood disease, but his research also identified the cause of sickle cell symptoms and led to life-saving treatments. He made Children's Oakland an international reputation for its cutting-edge treatments and for his advocacy for screening newborns for the disease led to California becoming the first state in the country to require such screening, a policy that has been adopted by most other states, all started by that advocate, Bert Lubin. Bert was selected as the first pediatrician to run a hospital in California in 2009. He directed a 10-year master plan, the first fruits of which are across the breezeway where you see the brand new outpatient center that just is completed this last year. And he led the affiliation efforts with UCSF back 5-6 years ago, which Sam Hawgood and I were pleased to be his partners on the San Francisco side of the Bay. And I will say that every one of us who worked with Bert loved him, cared for him, and most of all, always appreciated that he had one agenda item always at the forefront, and that was what's best for the kids of this community. And that remains his goal today. You know, people say that they don't remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. In Bert's case, I'm sure we'll remember a lot of what he said. I know we'll remember the things he has done as a physician, as a researcher, as a community activist, as a philanthropist, as a fundraiser himself, as an administrator. But most of all, I think we're all going to think about Bert for how he has made us feel. And I don't think there's a person that he ever touched, a child or a family or any of us, who hasn't felt the value that Bert has shared, the respect, the caring, and the love. And for that, Bert, we so deeply care about you and are so appreciative of all you have done for this community and for the world. So Bert, quick recovery, and we hope you enjoy the video of all the people who are here to honor you tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tasha Henneman, and I'm the district director for Senator Nancy Skinner, who is a dear, dear friend of Dr. Lubin's and wanted to be here tonight. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, and I'm Justin Rausa. I'm with Assemblymember Rob Bonta's office.
And we're here on behalf of our members to just say congrats to half a century of amazing work and even more so. We're so grateful for Dr. Lubin and all the work that he's done for the children, for pediatricians. He's such a selfless leader, and we've been privileged to staff our bosses in many, many meetings with him and watch him work, and it's magical. He's committed to teaching the next generation of doctors and researchers. He's established an internship program that gave opportunities to over more than 1,000 students of color. And, you know, as a woman of color myself, I just really always appreciated his efforts to, you know, diversify the field and to look out for underprivileged families and for those who are socially or economically less fortunate than most of us. So, we just want to wish a happy retirement to Dr. Lubin and his family and thank him for all his wonderful work.
And I'm just going to add a quick story. So if any of you all know my boss, Assemblymember Bonta, like the man never sleeps. He'll text me at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then again at like 5 in the morning. So he works all day long. He knows how to hustle, right? And recently, Assemblymember Bonta was meeting actually with a group of pediatric residents here from Children's who were advocating for policies on how to connect families who may be about to experience housing instability, and how do you provide supports for these people who are not yet unhoused, but maybe like 2 or 3 days out from that. And at this meeting, not randomly, right, because these are pediatric residents here, my boss shared this story about asking how Dr. Lubin is, sharing about how when he first met Dr. Lubin running for office back in 2012, how impressed with Dr. Lubin he was, how hard he worked, how passionate he was about his work, about how he never met anyone with that kind of energy, that kind of zeal, right, for what he did. And so for my boss to say that about someone, to me, is like very profound because of how hard my boss works, right? So there is no one to compare with Dr. Lubin. We also want to send our greatest appreciations for what he's done for our community and our district. Mm-hmm. And so we've, both of our offices together have put together this resolution in honor of his retirement, and I'll just read to you the second to last paragraph. So, whereas throughout his remarkably productive medical career and decades-long association with transformative pediatric care and research in Oakland, Dr. Bert Lubin has sought to achieve social justice, identify and assess health disparities, and advance the field of population health while remaining active in the community as a generous philanthropist and strong advocate for policies and programs that promote the well-being of children, including his provision of funding to found the Center for Community Health and Engagement at UC Benioff Children's Hospital, Oakland. Thank you.
We love you, Dr. Lubin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jain Thapa, and I'm here as a representative for Congresswoman Barbara Lee. Unfortunately, the Congresswoman couldn't be here today, but we do have a video message from the Congressman for Dr. Bert Lubin.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and I am proud to represent the 13th Congressional District in Congress. I want to congratulate my friend Dr. Bertram Lubin on his retirement after 50 years of leadership and service to Oakland Children's Hospital. Bert, you have been the heart and soul of children's medicine in the East Bay. Your groundbreaking research on sickle cell disease has led to life-saving treatments for so many children. And in the time since you joined Children's Hospital, Oakland, the average life expectancy of a child born with sickle cell has risen from 13 years to 58 years. what a legacy. Your work speaks for itself. You have helped so many of our most vulnerable children, families of color, and those in poverty. Your approach to healthcare as a social justice issue has transformed lives. I am so proud to call you my friend. So Bert, congratulations on your retirement and thank you for 50 years of tireless service to our children.
Thank you. Also, as a testament to Bert and his service for the community in the East Bay and in the Congresswoman's district, we also have a congressional record that the Congresswoman has written for Dr. Lubin. And also, given the circumstances today, we'd like to wish him a speedy recovery and thank you for everything that you have done for the community in the East Bay. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Caleb Smith. I'm here on behalf of Mayor Libby Schaaf. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it tonight, but we have a video of her thoughts because I couldn't begin to do justice to the sheer amount of admiration that she has for Dr. Lubin. So here we go.
Congratulations, Bert Lubin, on 45 years of being the radiant heart of Children's Hospital in Oakland. You are one of the most incredible human beings that I have ever had the pleasure of being in your presence. And as somebody who has known you for not quite all of those 45 years, but enough of them, I cannot tell you how much joy, how much healing, how much inspiration you have given to everyone in this community. I remember when I first met you, you were playing the drums at my mom's volunteer appreciation party. And I found it hard to believe that you were actually a doctor because you seemed way too fun to be a doctor. And yet, as we grew to know each other through serving on the board of MoCA, the Museum of Children's Art, and later as we both rose through our professions and came to leadership positions, I knew that I had a heartmate, a soulmate, in my absolute love and belief in the children of Oakland, their resilience, their goodness, their talent, and their absolute right to thrive in every way. Bert, you are my hero. You've done so much for me, you've done so much for Oakland, and you deserve the most beautiful, incredible retirement because you've done so much for all of us. Thank you.
And it's also my honor to present to Dr. Bert Lubin the Mayor's Proclamation. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Janet Liang, and I'm president for Kaiser Permanente here in Northern California, and I'm so honored and to be here to say a few words about our very special friend, colleague, and really not just a hero, as Mayor Schaaf said, but he is truly a treasure here in Oakland and within the healthcare community in the East Bay.
And I'm Eddie Orton. I'm his tennis partner. I play the ad court. He plays the high-pressure deuce court.
Yes. Eddie's being shy because he's actually a well-known developer who has not only developed new buildings but also restored some real important civic buildings here in the East Bay, and is a good friend to all of us and a co-conspirator with me as we talk about Bert this evening. Because only Bert can bring together such an eclectic group of people, a neighborhood tennis player, real estate developer, and a healthcare leader. He is someone who is certainly deserving of many recognitions, and I want to thank UCSF for naming this beautiful atrium after him. I saw that when I came in, actually, I kept saying to the valet guys, "Where's the Bertram? Where's the Bertram?" And then they're like, "What? Where are you going?" And they said, "Oh, the Bertram Lubin atrium." So I was dutifully corrected, but I think it's just fantastic that this whole entrance, this welcoming, inviting space is named after him, and it's just so fitting because it essentially fits his really cheerful, welcoming personality.
But that's not all that's been named after Bert. They had named a tennis racket after him. It's the Head Macro Lube. It has a sweet spot the size of Texas, has a positive spin effect, and is especially designed for the drop serve.
You have to know tennis to understand that, right? Okay, I know who the tennis players are out there. You know, and I also want to just recognize that, Children's Hospital had to name something after him, and that was because he was such a force of nature. I think the term illumination came from illumination, and you would be in, I heard about this, you'd be in meetings, there'd be this great generation of ideas and brainstorming and what we could do in the world together if only, and that phrase now is the moment of illumination.
Janet, do you have any ideas for something else we might name after him?
I'm so glad you asked. I'm so glad you asked. Well, together we said, wouldn't it be wonderful if the community could come together and really give back to such a generous man who has given so much to people who are vulnerable in our communities, and particularly for children. And so we made the decision that we would help to sustain two very important programs that were near and dear to Dr. Lubin, and that is his mission to develop future leaders in healthcare who had his passion for scientific evidence and STEM in our community and for children. And in particular, he really focused on bringing in diversity and to be inclusive in careers in STEM and in healthcare. And so two programs, one he founded, which was the Corey's Summer Student Research Program, and I hope people from Corey are here, leaders from Corey are here. Hi. Thank you for being here. And the other is the Community Health and Adolescent Program for Success, and that's a mentoring program for high school students. And those two programs are something that he has championed. He really was the pioneer in helping healthcare and medical organizations understand the socioeconomic factors that impact health and why it's our responsibility to reach outside of our walls, to really work with communities, families, neighbors, to really bring about health in our communities so that families can be healthy. So we put together, we went out and made some calls in this silent phase to begin to endow a fund on behalf of Dr. Lubin. And so we're really pleased this evening to announce the Bert Lubin Scholarship Fund for Corey and the CHAMPS program. I'll let the poster there. And I just want to take a moment to thank the founding donors, and that is Eddie Orton to my left. We have Ann Baker from Telecare Corporation, two of the board members on behalf of UCSF's Benioff Children's Board, and Edward Penholt, who I haven't met yet, but I don't know if you're here. He's over here. Thank you, Edward. And Shahan Sahikian, our board chair for UCSF as well. Thank you so much on behalf of representing the board and your support for the work of Oakland Children's Hospital. And then lastly, a longtime philanthropist and supporter of Oakland Children's and a former board member of Oakland Children's is Barbara Baker. And is Barbara here tonight? She thought she might come. Oh, there. Oh, I can't see because of the lights. I want to come say thank you so much for your leadership and your support. Wonderful. So together with Kaiser Permanente, we have raised, as of this evening, $775,000. So that's pretty impressive for these two programs. Great. And of course, for those of you who didn't know about it, now we're in the public phase. So you'll have your opportunity to contribute to this fund. I would love for us to get to $1 million before the close of the end of the year. So I'm going to give back to Bert for all the years that he raised money to take care of children in this community to ensure that we can sustain an important legacy program of his. Thank you very much.
Oh, go ahead. Bert, feel better soon.
That's really amazing, and I'm just jumping up and down because I know that Bert's going to be so thrilled about that. So A mentor is someone who allows you to see the hope inside of yourself. I was actually trying to think back to when I first met Bert, and I met him shortly after he became the president and CEO of Children's Hospital Oakland. I remember going to meetings and participating in these meetings, and Bert was always so inspiring. He would say, "Great job, that's wonderful, keep going." On one particular Friday, I was in clinic in primary care, and I kept getting these texts as I was wrapping up with my patients. And the text said, "Are you coming? When are you going to be here?" And I'm thinking, oh, I have so many notes to do. I have to make these phone calls. I have to finish up with this last patient. But of course, the texts were from Dr. Lubin, and so I dropped everything else, and I ran over to the main hospital for a meeting. Little did I know what I was getting myself into, which is typically the way that it is with Bert. I walk into the room with the majority of the team from the Clinton Foundation, including Hillary's chief of staff. They're talking about how they want to launch a new initiative called Too Small to Fail, Talk, Read, Sing, and they need a pediatrician to help lead the research efforts. I'm hearing this. I'm sinking lower and lower and lower into my chair because I know how this is going to end up. And how it ended up was that I was on the Dr. Bert Lubin Career Accelerator. Talk, Read, Sing became a national program that actually really both led me to my current career as the medical director for our Department of Community Health and Engagement, but also led me to the Obama White House. It helped us as an institution start to make this link between health and education and really being on the cutting edge for how do we get kids ready to learn. Bert and I have had a ton of fun traveling together. We've been to Chicago, Bethesda, DC. We've gone to the National Press Club, to Health and Human Services, and during one particular meeting that we had with the head of the Bureau of Maternal and Child Health, Bert starts the meeting with these senior federal executives saying, "Dayna works for me, you can't have her." Bert encourages us to always have really big ideas. And so about 4 years ago, Dr. Barbara Staggers, Adam Davis, Sue Greenwald, and Doreen Moreno and I started meeting for hours on end, talking about community engagement, talking about maintaining our authentic identity as a children's hospital grounded in the Oakland community. Under Bert's auspices, we developed the Department for Community Health and Engagement that focuses on maintaining a community voice through research, clinical care and innovation, and policy. This department was seeded by Bert and Vivian, and as a result, now we have raised multiple millions of dollars for community engagement and the work on child health equity. Health equity is Bert's big vision, and he believes in it so wholeheartedly. He believes in the power of addressing determinants of health and making the Bay Area the healthiest place to raise children. In the course of our work, I've learned a ton from Bert about humility and hospitality, about courage and curiosity. I've learned to always send thank you notes. I've learned to collaborate and to be transparent and to always keep trying and to stand up for our families no matter what. A great mentor is hard to find, is difficult to part with, and is impossible to forget. Bert, your contributions have been irreplaceable. Your dedication is immemorable, and your guidance is invaluable. Maya Angelou said that in order to be a mentor and an effective one, you must care. You must care. Know what you know and care about the person. Care about what you know and care about that person that you're sharing it with. Bert cared about all of us. So Bert, I want to thank you for the service to our staff and our hospital and our children. I want to thank you for being my friend and my mentor. And I actually know that I'm going to see you around all the time at every single community-based steering committee meeting that I go to. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Corrigan, and along with Melissa Williams and Christina Smith and Laura Clydesdale and Greg Perloff, we're the team behind Notes and Words, which is going to celebrate its 10th year in April. And that is how I came to know Bert Lubin. But this past summer, I was with my daughter, who's a senior in high school, and she has a crazy high aptitude for chemistry and biology, but she's also like low-grade obsessed with The Bachelorette. And so I had this moment of inspiration where I thought I wanted to put her in front of some of the most inspiring people I have been able to get to know, Julie Saba and Bert Lubin. And so we set up this little schedule with Bert where we went into his office with a laptop and we tried to capture his life story. And so Georgia was asking the questions and Georgia was firing away on the keys. And so I consulted that today to come up with 5 things that you probably don't know about Bert and what I think they might mean. The first thing is that he's been working since he was 6 years old. His dad had a produce market. His dad, who was also a daily gambler, had a produce market, and Bert's job was to organize the fruits and vegetables and take away the little brown peels of the lettuce and take it over to Miss Smith's car if it was too heavy. And I think from that he learned that kids can have very hard lives in multiple ways, and that kids have capacities beyond what we usually attribute to them. The second thing is that Bert is the first person in his family to ever go to high school, much less college, much less medical school. And I think that that is where he came up with this idea that we should not be condemned by our origin story, that our zip code should not define our destiny. The third is that he's a lover, not a fighter. He started with a head pom-pom girl named Marcel Fleming, whose name came back to him more readily than his first wife's. He also had a second wife and a third wife, and I think from this we can see that it takes a long time to find a woman as good as Viv. The fourth thing you should know is that in middle school, he was given this musical aptitude test, and he came back with a perfect score. And so they suggested that he try violin, but he hated it. He said it was too noisy. So he took up the more soothing and sedate instrument, the drums, which tells us that Bert has always marched to his own beat. And the fifth thing you should know about Bert is that he was the president of his class. His slogan was, "Be alert, vote for Bert." But he was also the shortest person in his class. He was known as Bert the Squirt. From which I gathered that even if your eyes are full of ambitions as far as you can see, it's good to keep your sense of humor. Greatness favors the humble of heart. This afternoon, when I was getting ready to come over, I thought I should scan the document one more time and see what else was in there. And there was this long section where Georgia had captured this quote directly. And I'm going to read it. The quote was, "I'll die soon. It's not terrible. My dad died at 52, my brother at 42, and I'm 75. I had a great career and more than one love. But dying makes you think. Dying makes you want to lay out your life and see all the pieces and make a story that makes sense, that makes meaning, that makes you feel complete and ready." Bert, I don't know what comes next. Hopefully many more years of storytelling and meaning making, but I'll say this. When I look over at you over all these years and see that smile shining back at me, it makes me feel just like my dad used to. Like all things are possible, and why shouldn't it be me? So thank you for the twinkle in your eye and that reliable face of love. This was the point when Bert the Squirt was going to get up and tell us how much he loved us and tell us how much he was grateful. I want you to know that the update is this. This is his update for us. and that will, he's being taken care of by the very best. And thanks a lot for coming, and please stay as long as you like.